Holstein. All persons having any business before this honourable court now draw nigh and give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Queen.
Please proceed.
Admission of lawyers. Eugenia Albacinus.
May it please the Court, I move that Eugenia Albacinus be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Eugenia Albacinus be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lydia Bree Albright Lepage.
May it please the Court, I move that Lydia Albright LePage be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lydia Bree Albright LePage be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rachel Mary Bard.
May it please the Court, I move that Rachel Mary Bard be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rachel Mary Bard be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Nicholas Neil Betts.
May it please the Court, I move that Nicholas Neil Betts be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Nicholas Neil Betts be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Dominique Alexandra Blick.
May it please the Court, I move that Dominic Blick be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Dominique Alexandra Blick be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Mitchell James Brunker.
Let Mitchell James Brunker be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Julian Favero.
May it please the Court, I move that Julian Favero be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Julian Favero be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Katie Joy Glynn.
May it please the Court, I move that Katie Joy Glynn be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Katie Joy Glynn be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Thomas Alexander Robert Green.
May it please the Court, I move that Thomas Alexander Robert Green be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Thomas Alexander Robert Green be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Brianna Hammerschmidt.
Let Brianna Hammerschmidt be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Muhammad Umar Ikram.
May it please the Court, I move that Muhammad Umar Ikram be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Muhammad Umar Ikram be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Andrei Jadetsky.
May it please the Court, I move that Andrei Jadetsky be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Andrei Jadetsky be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alexis Diana Kumas.
May it please the Court, I move that Alexis Diana Kumas be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alexis Diana Kumas be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Esther Chelimo Curia.
May it please the Court, I move that Esther Chelimo Curia be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Esther Chelimo Curia be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jackie Lamb.
May it please the Court, I move that Jackie Lamb be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jackie Lamb be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Rachel Emma McBean.
May it please the Court, I move that Rachel Emma McBean be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Rachel Emma McBean be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jacinta Jane McGlinley.
May it please the Court, I move that Jacinta Jane McGinley be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Jacinta Jane McGlinley be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Genevieve Mary McCrossan.
May it please the Court, I move that Genevieve Mary McCrossan be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Genevieve Mary McCrossan be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Sheena Maria Peramel.
May it please the court, I move that Sheena Maria Peramel be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Sheena Maria Peramel be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Victoria Louise Phillips.
May it please the court, I move that Victoria Louise Phillips be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Victoria Louise Phillips be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Brooke Panea Sharp.
May it please the court, I move that Brooke Panea Sharp be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Brooke Panea Sharp be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ashwaya Tapkir.
May it please the court, I move that Ashwaya Tapkir be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ashwaya Tapkir be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Ashley Louise Susan Taylor.
May it please the court, I move that Ashley Louise Susan Taylor be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Ashley Louise Susan Taylor be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Alec Poltuck Edward Tonkin.
May it please the court, I move that Alec Poltuck Edward Tonkin be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Alec Poltuck Edward Tonkin be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Kirsty Taryn Vandenberg.
May it please the court, I move that Kirsty Tarrant Vandenberg be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Kirsty Taryn Vandenberg be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Abby Marie Wildman.
May it please the court, I move that Abby Marie Wallman be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Abby Marie Wildman be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Antonia Laihe Zhu.
I move that Antonia Lehi Zhu be admitted as a solicitor of this honourable court.
Let Antonia Lehi Zhu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Lily Yan Zhu.
May it please the court, I move that Lily Yan Zhu be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Lily Yan Zhu be admitted as a lawyer of this court.
Jijan Yin.
May it please the court, I move that Ji Yin be admitted as a lawyer of this honourable court.
Let Zhishan Yin be admitted as a lawyer of this court. It will be necessary for those whose admissions have just been moved to swear an oath or to make an affirmation. Would all newly admitted lawyers please stand but remain in your place for the purpose of so doing.
Eugenia Albacinus. Lydia Bree Albright LePage. Rachel Mary Bard. Nicholas Neil Betts. Dominique Alexandra Blick. Mitchell James Brunker. Julian Favero. Katie Joy Glynn. Thomas Alexander Robert Green. Brianna Hammerschmid. Mohammed Umar Ikram. Andrei Jadetsky. Alexis Diana Kumas. Esther Shalimo Korea. Jackie Lamb. Rachel Emma McBean. Jacinta Jane McGinley. Genevieve Mary McCrossan. Sheena Marie Peramel. Victoria Louise Phillips. Brooke Panea Sharp. Ashwaya Tapkir. Ashley Louise Susan Taylor. Alec Poltuck Edward Tonkin. Kirsty Taryn Vandenberg. Abby Marie Wildman. Antonia Lehe Zhu. Lily Yan Zhu. Jijan Yin. Do you severally swear or declare and affirm that you will truly and honestly conduct yourselves in the practice of a lawyer of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, and that you will faithfully serve as such in the administration of the laws and usages of this state according to the best of your knowledge, skill and ability? Would you please say, "So help me God," or "I do"?
Please be seated. Now that the formal part of the proceedings is complete, on behalf of the Chief Justice and all of the judges of the court, I would like warmly to welcome each of you and your family and friends to the Supreme Court of New South Wales. For those who do not know me, I am Justice Ward, the Chief Judge in Equity and a Judge of Appeal, and I have the honour to represent the Chief Justice this morning. Present with me on the bench today, to my right is Justice Brereton, who is a Judge of Appeal, and to my left is Justice Hallen, who is the Succession List Judge and a Judge of the Equity Division. Together, we constitute the court that has, in the exercise of its jurisdiction, admitted you to practice. First, as we gather here today, I wish to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and to pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. I recognise the long-standing and enduring customs and traditions of Australia's First Nations and their deep connection with country. It is a matter of deep regret the many injustices historically perpetrated against Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and I welcome any of our First Peoples present here today or watching the ceremony online. To all the new lawyers here today, it is a great pleasure to welcome each of you individually to the legal profession of this state. Although it is now nearly 40 years since I was admitted as a solicitor in this very same courtroom, I well recall the solemnity of the occasion and the excitement and pride of my parents, both non-lawyers, who were here to witness the ceremony. Little did I then imagine that I would one day be presiding over just such a ceremony. Today is a day for celebration. You have all worked extremely hard to reach this point in your legal career, through no doubt caffeine-filled nights and obscure problem questions, reading countless wafer-thin pages of textbook and more cases than you can hope to remember. You are entitled to be proud of your achievements, and your family and friends are entitled to be proud of you. No doubt many of them are relieved that the long period of study is over, since no doubt many of them will feel that they would almost equally be qualified to be admitted here today. Having shared the knowledge of law that you have gained over the years, perhaps wielded a red pen on your many essays, indeed they may well feel that they know more about snails in ginger beer bottles and the cannibalisation of shipwrecked cabin boys than it was ever necessary for them to know. It is a pleasure indeed to have so many of your family and friends here present in court today to witness the occasion. But I also send my best wishes to those who are interstate or overseas or otherwise only able to view this ceremony online. I do hope the technology performs well today. In being admitted as a lawyer today, you have joined a centuries-old profession with ancient origins. The custom of advocates swearing admission oaths dates back to the 12th century. The Supreme Court was established not quite so long ago, in 1823, and it is nearing its bicentenary. This court first admitted lawyers to practice in 1824, making New South Wales one of only a handful of jurisdictions with a continuously operating court as old as this. By 1830, the names of lawyers were entered onto rolls in this state. You have now become part of this tradition, almost 200 years later. Perhaps that feels, for your family and friends, or for you, that that's how long you've been studying. No doubt they've been on the receiving end of your finely polished skills of argument and persuasion for what seems to them an age. At the heart of the tradition is the direct relationship between the court and lawyers as officers of the court. The oath or affirmation that you have made today is a serious one, and it deserves solemn regard. Whether you choose to work in private practice, at the bar, in a solicitor's office, in a community legal centre, or in an entirely different field, you should always be known for your honesty, your integrity, and your commitment to justice. It is in acknowledgement of this weighty responsibility that we observe today's unique formalities. An occasion such as this marks not only the achievements you've made in the course of your studies, but also the prospect of those to which you aspire in the future. Each of you has taken a different, albeit in many cases similar path, to join the legal profession. You come from different homes, different backgrounds, and different cultures. You will bring to the practice of law different experiences and perspectives. You will no doubt have different expectations and aspirations for your career. The legal profession and the administration of justice are greatly enriched by that diversity. This makes it important that we strive for diversity in all aspects of the legal profession, including on the bench. Though women were not originally permitted to practice, since 2018, women have made up more than half of all solicitors with a practising certificate in New South Wales, and currently 63% of solicitors under the age of 30. Women occupy now many of the senior positions in the law, including, of course, the Chief Justice of Australia, which would, of course, be anathema to the Dean of the University of Sydney Law School, over whose objections the first woman lawyer was admitted to study law. But women continue to face challenges of representation, including amongst judges of this court and amongst barristers in speaking roles before the High Court. The local court of New South Wales has almost achieved gender parity amongst magistrates, but there's a long way to go before we could become anywhere near complacent in that regard. But gender issue is not the only issue to be addressed in this regard. Cultural and ethnic diversity, among other diversities, is also just as important, if not more so. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, for example, and peoples from diverse cultural backgrounds continue to be underrepresented in the legal profession, and particularly within the judiciary and the ranks of senior counsel. This year, the first judge of Indian descent was appointed to our court. And in his welcome ceremony in this courtroom yesterday, he made the point which has been echoed elsewhere by other judges in other contexts as to how important it is to the rule of law that the constitution of this court reflect the community which we serve. We must also be alert to barriers to the profession for people from less privileged backgrounds. We will only achieve a truly diverse profession when all barriers to advancement are broken down and people from different backgrounds are properly supported in a collegiate and inclusive environment free of harassment and discrimination. These issues are fundamental to a just and transparent legal system and to the legitimacy of the rule of law. We need diverse representation amongst advocates and judges so that all people who become involved in our justice system can be properly heard and fairly engaged with by a system reflective of our broader community. Having said this, it is important to remember that notwithstanding that you are a diverse group, you now share a common membership of the legal profession. Today, you not only have the exceptional privileges that come with the practice of law, but you have pledged to accept the onerous obligations on members of our profession. The legal profession is one that demands a constant commitment to learning. You may have thought that this was an end to study. If so, it is my unpalatable duty to inform you that you were wrong. Were it otherwise, there would not be the scope for academic discourse that there is as to the law, and we judges would not so regularly have our misunderstanding of the law pointed out to us by the advocates who appear before us. Rest assured, for those of you with a bibliophobia, that is, a fear of running out of reading material, as lawyers this will never materialise. On other similar occasions in this court, the Chief Justice has acknowledged that it will never be possible for you to learn everything that there is to know of the law. But that does not absolve you from the duty of keeping on top of the developments of the law, particularly since it may be your task to enlighten members of the judiciary as to those developments or as to why their long-held understanding of the law needs to be modified. It is your great privilege as a lawyer not only to inherit a body of knowledge that has developed over hundreds of years, but also to have the chance to contribute to its ongoing evolution. Importantly, today you also assume ethical obligations over and above those demanded of you as a member of the community. The legal profession is dedicated to upholding the rule of law, one of the most important pillars of a peaceful and democratic society. The standards expected of legal professionals are correspondingly high. As lawyers, you owe onerous duties to your clients, but you must always remember that your paramount duty is to the court. A duty of full disclosure of the relevant law, a duty of candour not to mislead the court or knowingly to permit your client to do so, a duty to refuse to permit the commencement or continuance of baseless proceedings, a duty to exercise care before making allegations of misconduct against other persons, a duty not to assist any form of improper conduct, and a duty to conduct cases before the court efficiently and expeditiously. Your duty to the court requires you to comply faithfully with your ethical obligations, no matter what pressures may be placed upon you, and no matter whether they conflict at times with your client's wishes or desires. Those duties are the minimum. They're not the total of your professional obligations. You have a duty as a lawyer to serve the community by protecting and promoting the basic tenets of our legal system: justice, equality, due process, and the rule of law. You may at times have to defend unpopular clients and causes, and you must do so to the best of your ability. You must be willing to protect the rights of minorities and to speak out against abuses of power. This will rarely be easy, but it is essential. If lawyers do not do it, there may be no one else who will. Along with those weighty obligations come exceptional privileges. The practice of law is stimulating and rewarding. You will face intellectually challenging problems. You will become familiar with a wide range of issues across a diverse areas of law. You will have the opportunity and the concurrent obligation to play a trusted role in some of the most important and difficult events in the lives of others. In doing so, do not lose sight of the fact that you are now part of a professional community. By its very nature, law is not a solitary occupation. It can no doubt be isolating, and that can be stressful. Clients can be demanding, and in my experience, they often are. Work might not be progressing in the way that you had hoped. And sometimes, although surely this will be rare, you will encounter difficulty persuading a judge of the wisdom of your arguments or the merits of your client's case. In all those circumstances, the support of your peers will be invaluable. Remember to make use of that support. You have now entered the real legal world, so to speak. In one famous annual speech to the Law Society, the Chief Justice likened lawyers to plumbers, a necessary evil and often expensive and difficult to get hold of. You now enter that world and the reality of it, of eggshell skulls and peppercorn rents. You may meet the mysterious reasonable person, and you will have to apply the Constitution with an understanding that it consists of so much more than the vibe of the thing. Some people may say that you will get paid to argue instead of arguing for free, but there is much more to being a lawyer than that. You are an advisor, a problem solver, a mediator, and an advocate for the marginalised. As you go about your day-to-day work, remember you're not merely dealing with the law in a vacuum, but law as it applies to people's lives. Strive to deliver your legal services competently and fearlessly, as with courtesy and, as I've noted, with integrity. It is foundational to upholding the rule of law that you give the same answer to the same questions for the same reasons, no matter who asks the question, as Justice Gageler, who was said before he became a High Court judge. For those of you who will practice law, the way you communicate information to others will have profound consequences for access to justice. For a non-lawyer, law is often incomprehensible. One of your roles will be to make sure that it's accessible to others, sometimes by deciphering legal complexities, sometimes by deciphering poor legal drafting, and sometimes both. Your task is not just to understand the law, but to explain it clearly to those who are affected by it. I should say that although we mark this occasion with formality and tradition, not everything in the legal profession remains unchanging. Over the past 2 years, for obvious reasons, we have had to adapt. COVID-19 has meant a rapid shift to increased use of virtual courtroom setups and technology, to ensure access to justice continues in the midst of a global pandemic. For those of us who are Luddites, or perhaps simply habitudinous or ultra-crepidarian, this has proposed technological and other issues. Occasionally, lawyers have become stuck behind Zoom kitten filters. There have also, however, been more significant difficulties to grapple with in terms of open justice, effective communication, and fairness to all participants. For all the challenges, however, that we have faced, the impetus is greater than ever before for us to prioritise flexibility and accessibility. Better use of technology and increased working from home arrangements have had profound implications for how our legal system interacts with many people, including those in remote areas, those with a disability, medical conditions or carers' responsibilities. As the newest members of the profession, you are at the forefront of innovation in the law, and you have an opportunity, a unique opportunity, to see through the changes so that justice is done openly and equitably. You will be heard and taken seriously when you agitate to correct injustices, whether it be speaking out about unsustainable working cultures or practices within the profession, unfair laws or systemic failings affecting our society's most vulnerable. Can I urge you to continue to speak up for the things that matter? You are the future of the profession, and you will steer the direction that it takes. The Chief Justice, were he here, would admonish you to remember that you are today joining a profession that, despite all the lawyer jokes that you will have to endure, no doubt, over the years, or perhaps not so many lawyer jokes and more true stories about lawyers, you are in a profession that is held in high regard by society. You must be careful that this does not lead you to delusions of grandeur or self-importance. Any prestige that attaches to being a lawyer is simply a reflection of the central significance of the law and the legal system to almost every sphere of activity. Finally, and you might think perhaps surprisingly on an occasion such as this, I wish to speak about failure. At various points of your career, you will make mistakes. Some will be minor, some may be more serious. When you do make mistakes, your commitment to honesty, integrity, and the administration of justice means that you must take responsibility for them, acknowledge them, correct what you can, and learn from them. At the annual Members' Dinner of the Law Society this week, I was privileged to hear a speech from Ash Barty's life coach and mentor, Ben Crowe. His very powerful speech emphasised the difference between goals and expectations. He encouraged the lawyers in the room, as he encourages a raft of world-famous sports people, to focus on the former and to eschew the demon of expectation of others. I endorse that. Each member of the legal profession, which now includes each of you, no matter the role that that member of the legal profession plays, is no more than a custodian and servant of the legal traditions that you inherit today, which stand at the heart of society and which are far greater than any one of us. On behalf of all of the judges of the Supreme Court, and particularly those on the bench with me today, I once again offer my sincerest congratulations on your admission. I welcome each of you to the legal profession. The court will now adjourn.
Silence all stand.